So what I want to do here is have a quick discussion about Spider-Gwen. And the reason why is that while I am hoping that at the end of this video, you'll have a strong understanding of her character leading into the events of the Spider-Verse story from Secret Wars, the significance of the death of the original Gwen Stacy in 1973, as well as the original Spider-Verse event are discussions that we've already had on my channel. So Spider-Gwen actually comes out of the original Spider-Verse event in a story called The Edge of Spider-Verse, which served to introduce a series of various versions of Spider-Man and Spider-Woman from alternate realities. Set in the Earth 65 universe, during a 2014 interview with Newsarama, creator Jason Latour had stated that Spider-Gwen was originally supposed to be a one-off who appeared only in the context of the original Spider-Verse story by Dan Slott and was never meant to be a sensational hit. Because Gwen Stacy was the first major love interest of Spider-Man, and because her death in 1973 by writer Jerry Conway ushered in the Bronze Age of comics, which saw darker stories, while Mary Jane Watson picked up the slack and was written in as Peter Parker's new love interest until the events of One More Day, in the back of everyone's mind was a recognition of how important the death of Gwen Stacy truly was. As a result, since the goal of The Edge of Spider-Verse was to bring in various versions of Spider-Man that had appeared in everything from in-continuity stories like Superior Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus, to out-of-continuity stories like What If Spider-Man Maintained the Enigma Force, Jason Latour was granted permission to ask and answer the question, what would have happened if Gwen Stacy were bitten by a radioactive spider instead of Peter Parker? Using this as a jumping-off platform, in Edge of Spider-Verse issue number 2, Spider-Gwen's origin is given over the course of a single page, and stating that a radioactive spider had bitten Gwen Stacy rather than Peter Parker. With her father George Stacy maintaining his role as a chief of police in this reality, while Gwen Stacy adopts the mantle of Spider-Woman and becomes a hero, the bullied Peter Parker grants himself powers by injecting himself with a serum, but ends up becoming the Lizard instead. Well, this would go on to see a battle take place between the two that would have Peter Parker die as a result of his exposure to the serum. With J. Jonah Jameson still heading up the Daily Bugle, he used his role to launch a campaign of propaganda against Spider-Gwen that resulted in society turning against her, with the police attempting to arrest her for the murder of Peter Parker. While the conclusion of this story would go on to see her introduced alongside the multiversal Spider Team during the events of Spider-Verse, which served as a way for Marvel to eliminate all versions of Spider-Man except for those they wanted to keep at the conclusion of Secret Wars. Following the series' end, Spider-Gwen was rolled over into a 5-issue series of her own under the writing and art of Jason Latour and Robbie Rodriguez respectively, which came to a conclusion with the launch of Marvel's Secret Wars event. Over the course of this story, Gwen Stacy's home reality was fleshed out and telling us that Matt Murdock works as the right-hand man of the Kingpin in this continuity rather than being a hero. Mary Jane Watson is alive but had no previous relationships with Peter Parker and instead is a lead singer of a band titled the Mary Janes with Gwen Stacy acting as a drummer, and Uncle Ben and Aunt May are both alive but remain in grieving over the loss of Peter Parker and question the propaganda of J. Jonah Jameson. In addition to this, the main focus of Spider-Gwen's solo series was less about her battles with villains like the Vulture and more about how she viewed the death of Peter Parker. Because Peter's transformation into the Lizard was due to a misguided attempt to become an equal to Gwen Stacy, his death in turn provided the basis for Spider-Gwen to maintain her role as a hero, but also established an inner struggle in that Peter's death was constantly used by both the media and the press to drive public hatred for Gwen Stacy. This combined with the fact that Gwen had no true superhero allies meant that within the realm of her own continuity, there was no evidence to suggest that the Avengers or the X-Men existed, making her a singular entity and completely alone. Furthermore, unlike other stories leading into the start of Secret Wars like the death of Deadpool or the Last Days line including the Silver Surfer and Loki, Spider-Gwen's solo series did not see a conclusive end regarding the destruction of the multiverse, and instead, it was announced by Marvel that her home reality of Earth 65 would continue to exist, and that she would remain a major figure in the all-new, all-different Marvel lineup by jumping into various continuities for adventures with other Spider-related characters in addition to her own. While this announcement left many fans confused in that Secret Wars was expected to see the total collapse of the multiverse with only Battleworld remaining, as of this moment, Marvel has not provided fans with any explanation of how her universe survived. As such, once we get into the Secret Wars Spider-Verse event, we'll find that her story along with Spider-UK, Spider-Ham, and others simply just picks up with her arrival on Battleworld in an attempt to understand everything that's going on. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.